Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So a few weeks ago I bought the Surface Go tablet and I've been using it ever since, and the video that I'm making today is to actually go over the good and bad things that I found in the tablet, and I just wanted to share my feedback. Hopefully it can help you make the decision whether or not this tablet is suitable for you to buy or not. So I'd like to start with the good things first. So the first good thing I found in the tablet is the build quality. Just the general build quality is very solid. You know, the inbuilt kickstand is very useful if you're watching a movie in the bed, or if you just wanted to use the tablet while you're sitting on a sofa. I think this inbuilt kickstand is very useful, and it's very sturdy, very solid. It doesn't wobble at all, you know, so you keep your tablet on your knees, and this will, well, for the most part, it will stay there. Just really well built hardware. You know, I like the finish of the tablet very much. So that's just one good thing about the tablet. The second good thing is the operating system. I think Windows 10 is a well-built operating system, and I think it's I mean, since the time I've been using it, I haven't received any problems from the actual operating system. So it does get occasional updates and things like that. So it's a very, you know, a relatively problem-free operating system, I'd say. So that's the second good thing about the tablet. The third good thing is, you know, the form factor. I think this 10-inch tablet form factor is, in my opinion, it's perfect for media consumption as well as some occasional work. I think the screen is neither too large, nor it's too small. I think it's just the right screen sized 10-inch screen. So I really like that form factor. So that's the third good thing. The fourth good thing about this tablet is the screen quality. Well, I know, you know, you'd find online that the screen resolution and the pixels and some numbers thrown around, but to be honest, in this 10-inch form factor, the screen is plentiful crisp. I think it's the colors are very vibrant. So if you're watching a video on Netflix or YouTube, the screen can get pretty bright as well. So I think the screen for the size of the screen, I think it's pretty good. So I think that's a fourth good thing about this tablet, is the screen quality. I also like to mention that the webcam on this tablet is by far the best webcam I've seen on any tablet, and I've used a few from, like, ranging from iPads. Even comparing to some of the laptops, I think the webcam is pretty decent. I think it's full HD 1080p webcam. May not sound much, but a lot of even 2018 laptops, for example, are not by default shipping with a 1080p webcam. So the webcam quality is very good on this tablet. If you're using apps like Skype to make sort of video calls, I think, or Facebook Messenger, for example, I think the video quality will be really good. You'd be really happy with that. And fifth good thing is expandable storage. So this tablet has an expandable storage slot. So this is the 8 gig 128 gigabytes version that I bought. So it's this top of Microsoft sells two versions of Surface Go. One is 4 gig RAM and 64 gig eMMC storage, which is a little bit slow storage. And obviously with only 4 gig of RAM, you know, you can't work on too many tabs open, for example, in a browser, because it's gonna be very slow. Even that eMMC storage is supposed to be sort of a slower version of the standard flash storage. But this model that I bought is 8 gig of RAM and 128 gig of storage. Out of that, I think around 25 gig is used by the operating system. So you have around 100 gig of usable, it may sound much, but then if you're saving or downloading videos and saving it for offline use on a flight from, for example, on Netflix, 100 gig is not too much. So again, if you need to expand the storage, the SD cards are fairly inexpensive. I have inserted an SD card over here, so you can see that SD card is a 128 gig micro SD card. Yeah, and that was like for, I don't know, I bought that off Amazon for around 25 pounds. So that's a very inexpensive way to increase storage on this tablet. So I think that's the next good thing about the tablet that I've seen. Now coming to the not so good things, the things that I struggle with. I think the first and the most important thing that doesn't work too well on this tablet is the Pentium Gold processor. I think it's a significantly slow processor. I mean, if it is like super sluggish, it's pretty slow. So I actually, even if I open a few tablets and think there's this kind of a stutter. Even sometimes I've seen it like in Windows Store, there's some stutter. Some sluggishness, and I think that's where the Gold processor really struggles to sort of keep up. The second not so good thing is the Face ID unlock, the Windows Hello feature. This tablet over here has an infra sensor, so if you'd see that sort of red, it's trying to sense so right now it worked fine, but then a lot of times it just doesn't work too well, and you have to use your PIN or your password to log into the tablet. So that's that. The battery life, as you see the pop-up, the battery life is okay. I generally get around 6 hours, maybe 7 on the high side. If I go into the low power save option, so the display is fairly dark to preserve battery. But yeah, I feel that Face ID, comparing it with some of the likes of, like for example, an iPad, where the Face ID is pretty good on all the newer iPads. I think that's and again, you need to repeatedly go into the Windows Hello and have your face scan a number of times for it to for the chance to have the tablet unlock more successfully. I think you have to do your face scanning a number of times over a period of time before it becomes a little better. The number 3 not so good thing about the laptop is the App Store. So if I open the App Store, a lot of the apps for example I see are sort of not, they're missing. I mean, if there is no YouTube app, for example, right? And I know it's a Windows machine, so obviously you can use YouTube in the browser, but it's not, for some reason it's very sluggish sometimes. And again, if I have actually converted this tablet because by default it comes in Windows S mode, which is locked to, which basically you can only install the apps from the App Store. As you can see, I have Chrome, so that means I removed this the Windows S mode, so you can do that fairly easily on this laptop, and I'll probably post a link in the description of how to do that if you want to do that, which enables you to install applications and programs from the website or from USB and things like that. So you're not just tied to installing the programs from the Windows Store. But even if you are on Windows S mode, if you go to Windows the Edge browser that comes by default, and if you just go to the YouTube, it's very slow, and it's the gestures don't work too well, in my opinion. So if I go into the YouTube app, and I was to open that one. So if I open that video on YouTube, you see, so if I was to fast forward the video on that full screen mode,
so pathetic.
So there's no easy way to do that in the browser version. Obviously I can do that if I have my keyboard connected, but not everyone would buy the laptop or this tablet with a separate keyboard, because it's a separate item. The tablet itself I think retails for around £509 for this version, 8 gig of RAM and 128 gigs of SSD. I think the keyboard is around 125 pounds, the type cover. So if you don't have that keyboard, just using that tablet for media consumption, it's just not. I feel that it's not ideal, right? It doesn't work too well. As you can see, for some reason, it's so you can see there's some struggle with, I don't know, the app, the Edge browser has frozen, so you can see that it's not working too well. So sometimes that happens, which is not ideal. I feel, Windows 10 is a great operating system, but I think the implementation of this and the way this operating system works with the Pentium Gold processor is not ideal, and I think there's a lot of sluggishness in different parts, at different times. Even though I've got like an 8 gig RAM, and I think the only thing, as you can see, is running, it's just Windows Store and the Edge browser, but it's still sort of not working too well. Anyway, so that's my third point about what I don't like in this tablet. Lack of apps is that point. I think there are some good apps there, so Netflix is there. I don't see Amazon Video, for example. So again, things like that. And again, I know people would say that, hey, it's a Windows tablet and you can open that in the browser, but again, it's not quite the same sometimes. The apps are a lot of times, apps are optimized for viewing on a certain device, and I think the Windows Store and the apps on the Windows Store don't really help. The fourth not so good thing about this tablet is the price. So Microsoft may have you think that this is it's a cheap tablet or maybe inexpensive tablet. Actually, it isn't. It's so as I said, this tablet in this 8 gig of RAM, 128 gig storage SSD is £509. If you add this type cover, which again, this black version, I think it's less than 100, but then the gray and the other Alcantara type covers are £125, so that makes it around 630-40 pounds. If you want to buy the Surface Pen for note-taking ability, that retails for another 100 odd pounds, so that's like around 730 pounds. So again, the price jumps pretty quickly when you add the keyboard and the Surface Pen. I haven't bought the Surface Pen at the moment because I didn't feel the need. I generally have a sort of a different stylus that I use for notes. But then again, it's not a cheap tablet. I think for that price, you can get a pretty decent Windows laptop. I think in terms of tablets, I feel personally that the Surface Pro, with discounts and stuff, can also be a good tablet, you know, if you're spending on that much money. And I think Apple's iPads are basically, you know, I think even the cheapest iPad with the pen, where you can use the Surface, or not the Surface, sorry, the Apple Pencil, you can buy that iPad for like, I don't know, 350 pounds. So again, you know, it's not a cheap tablet, but Microsoft may have you think that it's a cheap tablet, because I think the 4 gig version of this tablet, which is going to be even more slower than this one, I think it starts around 400 pounds. So yeah, it's not cheap. The last not so good thing about the tablet are the bezels. So you'd see that you know, this wallpaper, actually they have used it to sort of try and hide the bezels. I think the new iPhones also do something like similar, which, you know, they use sort of a black wallpaper in the background so that the bezels are not that evident. But again, you know, they are pretty thick bezels, and I think a device which is you know, if you're releasing a device in 2018, I think the general theme is sort of to have, you know, really thin bezels. But again, as you can see, they are pretty thick bezels around the tablet. One of the reasons I feel this is the case is because, you know, Windows, this OS is not that great on touch input, so it can, you know, if you're holding the tablet with different apps, I think it can actually register input. So I think one of the other reason, apart from obviously the aesthetics, is just so that you don't, you know, your thumb, if you're holding the tablet either in portrait or landscape, you don't by mistake touch anywhere on the screen that you don't want to. So I think that's probably one of the other reasons why there are thick bezels. That's it. I think overall this tablet is okay for again, media consumption, watching videos on Netflix. There's an app, and then as you can see, some of the top apps in the Windows Store are like, yeah, those ones. Yeah, not a lot of them you'd have, I don't know, you'd have used, but then again, for media consumption, for occasional notes, you know, I think OneNote is pretty good if you buy a Surface Pen. And if you're, I don't know, you're like a student or you're in the university or school and you want to take quick notes in classes, I think this is a good device. But I feel for the amount of money that you're spending, there are other tablets out there, and potentially the iPad Pro, which is going to be similar price, would be good as well. But the speed is going to be remarkably well, because the iOS is suited for a tablet OS versus Windows 10. So yeah, so that's just my quick sort of video about, you know, what I feel about the tablet. Again, it's good tablet. It's I think it's not cheap. It's a decent tablet, but again, don't expect to get too much out of it. You know, I think otherwise you'll be disappointed. All right, let me know how you find this video. If there's anything you agree or don't agree, please mention to me in the comment. These are my honest feedback about just using this tablet as my personal tablet in the last 1 month or so. And yeah, thank you very much, and catch you guys in the next one.